Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the channel today. I'm glad you're here. My name's Matt, and this is Firewood in the Field. So right now, I'm still out in the field from the content I shot in a previous video where I was doing a comparison with my box store splitter with the Gorilla-Back log lift installed or not installed. But I am continuing to use the splitter in the vertical position. I don't want that to be a referendum on Gorilla-Back or not Gorilla-Back. This is just how I ended my last video, and I'm already out here. It's already gassed up and running. I didn't want to change and go get the log lift and reinstall it, although that does go quick. And I do have a video. If you were interested in the Gorilla-Back, I have a video you can go see where I installed it. I'll walk through here and I'll show you several of these big rounds that have already been cut into half. It's windy. I'm holding the tripod. And they've been out here for several months, I think about 8 months. I had a giant pin oak gifted to me from a tree service, and I wasn't quite ready for it, and I just had to get it cut up and out of where it was and brought out here. So I'm finally getting around to busting this up. And this is all going to be personal use. It's a little shroomy. There's a little bit of rot. Not too bad because it has been out here in the sun and the wind, and it's on skids, not directly on the dirt. So that helps. But my goal is to split all this up for myself. All right, let me fold the camera down and show you the layout, show you the Woodyard just a little bit, and then we'll get to splitting. All right, so here's my setup for continued splitting. I got a pile of rounds here. I'm going to sit on that one, and I'm going to set the splits in the 3-point carry-all. And these are all small enough, I don't need my tractor forks. They're all just right here. The reason I'm doing this, like I said, this machine's here. It's already set up. I just want to get some more work done today. So instead of bringing out the Wolf Ridge or putting the Gorilla-Back back on, I'm just going to do it old school. Keep myself honest for a little bit. But also, all these rounds, they were staged all over the tops of all these. So they're like right in here, they were there. You can see kind of where they were sitting, those dark spots, and all the shroomy spots where I had them. I had those small rounds sitting. I want to clear a path to get to these. And my plan for these, I'm going to cut these in half, maybe even quarters. So these were in, you can see my other videos, but I'll try to get the tape measure. So this one here, we got 39. And you can see they're all about that size, give or take. So I got 4 of these ready to go. I got this half guy, and these 2 here are also halves. So I got all those off the pile. I'll get those all split up in short order. And then if I still got time today, I'll use that little grapple, put it on my forks, and I'll pick that guy up and those guys up, and I will put those on the forks of the tractor and split them on the ground. I know that this is an extra touch of the wood versus my IBC totes. I try to keep my IBC totes for the wood that I sell, and I will show you the woodshed for the wood for myself. The woodshed for myself is on the other end of the field, and yeah, these are, I haven't got much of a start on this pile yet. This was what I brought home with my dump truck. This is all red and white oak and some hickory, and this I will bring the Wolf Ridge 28 Pro X, and it will just blast through this with the 6-way. But that's for another day. But here is my shed. So these 2 you see here, plus the one around back, those have already been split and in the shed for over a year. The reason I'm doing this now instead of bringing the Wolf Ridge out and tackling this bunch of rounds, this is all wood that I plan to sell. And while I do need to get it split sooner than later so it can start drying, this big oak has been here a long time. And if I let it sit much longer, I'm worried I'll have too much rot. And I need to make sure I take care of my own house first. I've got a good amount of wood put back for sale. There's never enough, obviously, but I need to get my own shed, my own supply for personal use shored up first. Alright, that little pile of rounds, let's turn into splits. And yeah, there's a little rot. Ooh, there's some ants crawling on that piece. I'm gonna toss it off to the side for the time being. Make sure I don't have any more. You're never gonna get rid of them all the way, but I try not to keep any ants in my wood pile. You saw how shroomy the log was, but there's still a lot of, that on the outside there, but there's a lot of good wood. I don't mind the sapwood being a little punky. Some of it I threw to the side, but other ones, even though it looked punky, the log still felt really heavy, and it will burn. It'll burn. Typical woodhound fashion. Keep the ugly stuff for yourself. Sell the pretty stuff. All right, I'm gonna go drive over to the shed, drop it all off. All right, well, just almost got this rack finished. I will stuff, I will get it all the way up to where it's touching the ceiling. I'm gonna go get the tractor, and I'm gonna move those big half round pieces that are already cut. And since the splitters out here already turned vertical, I'm gonna go ahead and get them split. Yeah, here's the moldiness. It's just on the surface. I don't think the ants are going crazy. But I had those 2 half rounds stacked on there. And I had all these rounds turned up on their sides, but if you go back and look at some of that footage I put, some of them just toppled over. Those 4 I was able to get really sturdy and stable. Some of these other ones, I don't know if it was the ground or the pallet they're on, or these rounds were just a little bit taller. Maybe those down there were 39 and these were 40, 42. They just wanted to tip and fall over, and I was worried about injury. Like, what if my dog was out here next to it and it fell over, or one of my kids? It would be horrible if that round fell over on them. So the really big ones I just left laying on their side. One of the keys I've learned, and I need to shove that forward just a hair, but you want to go at this with your forks angled down just a little bit. And I probably should have cleared out all that slash and junk, but having the forks lets you slide that around a lot easier, but also you don't have to pick it up. Like if this was just there, that big 1 inch or so of the heel of the splitter, you have to lift the back end of that round up. So if you go in there and you have your forks kind of angled down, it lifts the back end of the log up. I should have come forward just a little more, but I think all the slash was in my way. So my plan is I'm gonna just bust this into maybe 3 big pieces and then grab another one and do the same and try to have a whole bunch of big pieces here, and then I'll turn the tractor around and pull my put my 3-point carry-all where you saw it earlier. Well, I hope some of that got recorded. Now I'm looking at the camera just coming over here, and I'm seeing the splitter is off the frame of the camera. What was happening, and I had all that slash built up, and a couple of the rounds ended up kind of touching the ground, so the splitter ram essentially pushed itself backwards. I actually bent my pin up there where the foot is for the splitter. A little lesson learned for myself. Make sure to clear that slash out of there. Hopefully some of that got saved. As I just got up here, I seen the splitter wasn't on the frame at all. But I'm gonna spin around now and put my 3-point carry-all up here and get this all split up. All right, all the half rounds that I already had on the stack over there have been split. There was a good bit of waste, and all this will burn, but there's a lot of it's not soft and funky, but it's light in weight. You can hear it, but I just don't want to put it in my wood pile. My experience, to keep this, this is going to be a year or two till I burn this, if all goes to plan, and this stuff will get nasty in the pile. So quite a bit of waste, but I was kind of expecting that as long as those rounds had sat there. Not all is lost with this stuff. I fill totes full of this stuff and sell it for $30. Just a big bulk tote for a bonfire. And got my little white oak stump that I'm sitting on. There we go. I am going to go put this in the shed, and that's going to be it for today. All right, what's going to be a wrap on the video today? You see, I got the wood that was split into the shed, and I got just as far as I hoped to get to today. So all the rounds that were all staged all over those big ones are gone and moved, all the small ones, and then all the big ones that were already cut in half. So tomorrow I'll come out, I'll put my forks underneath those, and I'll pull them out, set them off to the side, and start cutting. And we'll just see how tomorrow pans out. I might just cut them all into halves. I might cut them into quarters. We'll just see how the saw is doing and how I'm feeling. And then I'd like to keep splitting. I'd love to get this shed. Got tomorrow off, so I'd like to get this shed completely done. That's one of my Woodyard goals. I really want to stop having logs sit so long. I had no intention of letting that oak sit there that long. It kind of, like I said before, it was a surprise gift, which I was happy to get, and I just had to get it out of the way where it was. But some kind of goal that I'm gonna put forward this year is I want to get all the big stuff split. I want to get the dump truck wood split, and then I'm kind of going to take a pause on firewood for a little while. I need to do some work on my building. I got that old tree line I wanted to take out. I need to put some rock down. And some of those projects are going to help me be more efficient out here. So organizing the wood yard, it's kind of chaos. I got totes just stacked all over the place. And then making myself a road to come in, a nice gravel pad to drive and drop logs at the end of. All that will help me be more productive out here in the long run. So if I have to take a break from the firewood for a month or two to get that done, I think it'll pay dividends in the end. But as always, really appreciate you being here watching. I'd also appreciate it if you consider hitting any of the buttons on the screen that you want to hit. For Matt at Firewood in the Field, see you next time.